Hello everyone, today is November 3rd. This is 5 days before the general election here in the United States. And like 4 years ago, I wanted to make some videos telling you all why decisions on how I'm going to vote and just general thoughts on the election. I mean, I know 4 years ago I was a lot more into politics. I was a voter registration drive organizer. I was a polling place manager, and I showed video from inside the polling place. But this year I've curbed a lot of that because I feel like creatively my output is a place where people go to not see so much politics, and I put out what I want to put out. I'm in this phase of my life, and I'm going through a lot of changes in my life professionally, so I didn't have the time to run a polling place and go through all the trainings again, and yeah, I didn't have enough time to be a delegate either, so I didn't do that. Maybe next time around I will go try to be a delegate for a political party and show you guys, just like I did 4 years ago and 2 years ago, what goes on behind the scenes in that. But didn't have the time, but I do have the time to sit down right now and talk to you about how I'm going to vote this year. Now, I had a discussion online with Kazoom, and it was about the legality of showing your ballot in a video on YouTube. Different states have different laws about this, and so I looked it up, and actually I can show you my ballot, but in Colorado the wording is a little muddy, but I'm not supposed to show you my filled out ballot, okay? So you do need a blue or black ink pen, and you should fill in the circles all the way, but right now you're looking at my blank ballot, which is legal. This is the legal part, right? If I were to fill it in and then have it on video, then it would be, I think, as per my reading, illegal. I don't think anyone would come after me for it. I think the spirit of that law is mostly, let's not film people in polling places and try to influence their vote and try to hold them accountable to their vote later, yada yada. That's the spirit of it. But I'm going to try to follow like the letter of the law. So I'm just going to talk about each thing and then off camera fill it in, and you'll just have to trust me that I filled it in the way that I said. So yeah, before I get into this, I'm going to, just like I did 4 years ago in many different videos, I'm going to show you all the mail that I've received. Now, I've moved around a bit, so I didn't get a bunch of mail. And on each of these, I've marked out the address so that I can show this in this video. The first one was from Dominic Moreno for State Senate, and his 3 bullet points here say, number 1, equal pay for equal work, to grow the economy and the levels of playing field for our moms, sisters, daughters, and wives. Well, that's a bit of virtue signaling there, and I'm apprehensive, because most of the time I would agree with anything that they would put on a ballot after a lot of thought. But when I see that, I'm just like, oh, that rabbit hole can go in a very, very bad direction. I agree that people should get equal work for, equal pay for equal work. That seems like a good thing. But I also believe that just based on a slight difference in your personality, I think that if you were a car salesman and the manager at the car lot liked you a little bit better and thought that you were bringing in more money, just by your presence you were making the other people better at what they were doing, just just a quirk of your personality, I think that you should be able to, if you're a manager, pay one person more just on a whim. You know, if it's your fucking company and you decide who gets paid what, I don't think that merit-based system based on a third-party outside investigation should be able to determine who should have gotten paid what. I'm very much for people who own a business to be able to run the business the way that they want to run it. And if they are racist or something, I really do believe that we should make some YouTube videos and make some Facebook campaigns and shame them for it. And that will correct itself. Okay? Part of that is social justice right there. You know, that if somebody were to have a system that looked like it was racist in its practice, that, you know, when it's talked about, they might decide to change it. They might decide to make a statement about it. If it's brought out in social media. And that part of social justice I sometimes agree with. Number 2 on his bullet points. Affordable housing to help families have secure futures. I really would like for there to be more affordable housing, especially where he's running for state senate, because here in the Denver metro area, housing prices have skyrocketed since pot became legal, but also since a little thing called Airbnb has turned many of the what used to be monthly rentals for people who needed a low affordable price home to live in. They turn those monthly rentals into vacation rentals, which then makes there be less supply of actual places to live. And so the price goes up as supply gets cut by a little bit. So Airbnb is actually part of the problem here in the Denver metro area, because there are almost as many listings on Airbnb for places to rent at hotel level prices as there are places to live if you're just looking for an apartment to rent. And you can't find a good apartment in a good neighborhood here for less than $1,000 a month. You can't find a 1-bedroom even in a crappy neighborhood for less than $800 a month. And, you know, there's a lot of jobs that people could be working that would not be able to pay for their livelihood. Bullet point number 3, more support for our local schools to give our kids more opportunities to succeed. The way it's worded, I'm on board with that. I don't know what exactly he's talking about, because it's not very specific. But look, he was a valedictorian, and he worked for AmeriCorps. That's in the picture there. So that's how he's affiliating, and he's a Democrat for state senate. Probably going to vote for this guy just based on this, because I'm thinking that his opponent probably is going to disgust me. I'm not really 100% behind him based on this mailing, but I think that I'm 75% of the way there, and that's where I'm at. Let's see. Vote no on Amendment 72 is the next mailer. Wrong for Colorado, wrong for our Constitution. It would lock a massive tax hike and $315 million in new spending to our state constitution that can't be changed without another vote of the people. Okay? So yeah, this is a lot of spending in Amendment 72. Here's another vote no on 72. And here's another vote no on 72. And hold on, let me just dig up all of the Amendment 72 ones, because I'm going to talk about them all together. Let's see. Here's another one. Vote no on 72. And vote no on Amendment 72 because it's a blank check. And let's see. There's another one. Vote no on 72 because it's a blank check. And vote no on Amendment 72 because it's a blank check. Yeah. And that's what I got on Amendment 72 this year in the mail. And so, for all of these, okay, I just want to say, Tabor, okay? A couple of years ago, Coloradans passed the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. And what that does is it manipulates all of our electorate kind of psychologically, because we're supposed to have elected officials that run the government for us and decide what we're going to spend money on, okay? We're supposed to elect them, and then we don't have to have fights over every goddamn thing that we want to spend money on. And if they pass something to spend money on, we shouldn't have a second and third vote for the people who are just against spending money on anything at all ever, okay? But when we put so much red tape in the way of actually letting our elected officials spend some money for us, then basically the whole government is locked up into a budget that is a decade old, going on a decade old right now. And so Tabor basically it manipulates people, because anything that we want to spend money on, if the legislation comes up with a proposal to spend money, it has to be put to a vote of the people, right? Now, psychologically, I could show you a whole bunch of videos on YouTube about this. If you have money or have something and you're told that you're going to lose it, you are less likely to vote for it than something that you don't have already. And asking people, will you sign up for losing a little bit more money out of your check every year? You know, will you sign up for this tax? Is manipulative. When you're asking for every little thing, because people will get sick of seeing, oh, here's some more money I'm losing. Here's some more money I'm losing. So, since Tabor was passed, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which was an amendment to the Constitution of Colorado, it has tied the hands of our legislators from being able to do anything, right? And so Amendment 72 is basically a big amendment about spending. Like, hey, let's give them some leeway in order to let them actually do their fucking jobs that we elected them to do because of Tabor, okay? This all has to do with the history of Tabor. So I'm actually for Amendment 72 to pass. I like my elected officials to actually be able to have some ability to do their fucking jobs. Let's see. Here we've got one for Vote Emily Voss. And one of the things she says that I like is, I will not approve education and transportation cuts like my opponent. I don't know who her opponent is, but then she's on the other side. The very first thing that she's putting here is Christian values, right? And if you're going to run as an advocate of your own religion, you're going to not get my vote because I'm an atheist. You know, that's it. You know, name those specific Christian values that you are wanting to put forth, and maybe I'd vote for you. But when you're saying I'm basically Christianity, vote for me, you've just lost my vote. And maybe I would have been that swing vote that you needed in an election like we're having this year. What else did she say about herself? Real world and life experience. I like that. Skier, climber, hunter, runner. Okay. Outdoor and tech business career. Okay, that probably gives her some better insight into how the world works than career politicians. I like all those things. Conservative Republican. I wonder what she means by that. I mean, she's a woman, you know, running for an office, and she'll be a woman leading men. You know, that's not a Christian value as per my reading of the Bible, but yeah. I wasn't as offended as on the other things, but when you say that you're going to put forth Christian values and everything, I'm like, no, I'm not a Christian. I don't want to show up to Christian things. I don't want everything branded Christian. I like my freedom from religion. Let's see. This next one is from Ed Perlmutter. He really wants people just to get out and vote. Like, here's how to vote. Get your ballot, vote it, and then return your ballot. Okay, seems easy. Last day to mail it is November 1st. That makes me have to actually go drop mine off. And he's for equal pay, affordable college, and honoring veterans. Well, I'm a veteran and I like veterans programs. I like affordable college initiatives. As I talked about before, equal pay. I like the broad term, and I like broadly what I think it stands for. But then when we get into the nitty gritty, I might disagree with them. But at this point, seriously, with all the rhetoric around equal pay for shit, if people would just, like, up front, just like they do for felons, where there's a tax break for employers to hire a felon, and that actually disproportionately gives tax breaks for African Americans because they're disproportionately incarcerated and made felons. If we were to make a law that said, hey, this minority, we're just going to give a tax break if you hire them, and we're not calling it equal pay, we're just calling it unequal because we just want this minority to do well, I'd be likely to vote for it. Seriously. Up front and say, for the next 10 years, we're going to make a special tax break just for this minority, just because we as a society, as a community, have come together and said, they're not doing that well in their neighborhood. We want that neighborhood to flourish a little, so if they're this minority and they're living in that neighborhood, tax break for hiring them. I would vote for it. Seriously. Against equalness at all. Equality. Because equality has become such a fucking muddy term. People think that they can achieve equality through inequality all the fucking time. If someone just came up with an inequality thing that just would make the world better, I'd be more likely to vote for it. Put to me that way. Let's see. This one says, this November, vote to give Colorado families a raise. Vote yes on Amendment 70. Okay, this is an example. Fair wage, right? This is raising the minimum wage for people. It says, let's raise the wage in Colorado to $12 an hour by 2012. I'm going to vote yes on this, even though I don't know that it's going to work as well as they think it is. I'm just willing to try it. I've seen arguments on both sides about raising the minimum wage, how employers won't have as much money to employ people, and I've seen studies done on cities where they have raised the minimum wage and how well that helped those cities. I'm just willing to try it. And to me, $12 an hour in the Denver metro area, you still won't see people working for that little, because employers can't really find people who are willing to work for that, because when the rents for places are in between $1,000 and $2,000 for a decent place to live, you can't fucking hold your rent to about a third of your check, which would be a responsible thing. That's about a responsible guideline. So, you can't afford to live on that $12 an hour here, so nobody will work for it. So employers have to pay more. Supply and demand. So just raising the minimum to a level that's below what anyone will work for anyway, and all the jobs are paying anyway, I find no problem with that. You know, it's really going to be just something that affects maybe the rural places, like smaller towns outside of the metro area, but it's not really going to affect the metro area as much because people already make that much. This next one says, Hillary Clinton hasn't kept us safe from ISIS, and she won't in the White House. So the back says Donald Trump will defeat ISIS for us once and for all. It reminds me actually of Donald Trump saying that Hillary Clinton's been fighting ISIS all her life, when in fact we know that ISIS was actually something that happened far more recently than all of her life and all of her political career. So yeah, when I look at like the Orlando shooter and the San Bernardino shooter, I'm like, those are people of Muslim heritage, but were they ISIS? ISIS is Islamic State in Syria, or ISIL, the Islamic State in the Levant. That's an actual geographic place that's not Orlando or San Bernardino or Chattanooga or New York. Is ISIS sending people back in time to be born 30 years ago to grow up in America and become terrorists here and call themselves part of them? I don't know. I don't. I understand that political rhetoric can span the ocean. I see a lot of the Brexit feelings in people that support Donald Trump. And yeah. Next, Ed Perlmutter. How many more days in 1 year? 60 days. Thinks that's fair. Neither does Ed Perlmutter. This is a wage gap argument by Ed Perlmutter. And I'm tired of wage gap arguments. I'm tired of people making them and tired of people debunking them. This does not reach me at all. I want women to get fair pay for stuff, but I don't know all of the different variables that created this. And yeah, in my line of work, because I work in behavioral health, it's actually dominated by women, and they're all making more money than I am. And this really falls flat because in my particular situation, I just see, and this is more personal evidence that might not hold true over the entire field, especially in different cities. But what I see is even my career path of being from hard sciences, from psychology, and having to take classes with math in them, we've been kind of cut out of the loop, and it's social workers from the social work track that now have all the jobs. They lobby Congress to be able to bill for things that psychologists can't, psychiatrists can't, all sorts of people from the harder science can't. And they got to sit and talk about feelings for 4 years and get their social work job. I really don't want to put down social work too much, but what I'm saying is their lobby has lobbied against people that come from harder science and a better understanding of underlying reasons for the ills of the public, to be cut out of jobs. And I can make videos about this later in the week where I can show that for the same job, people that come from a social work track can often get better pay than people that come from a hard science psychology degree. Okay, for the same damn job, and I'll produce that video, because that is a feeling that I've had this week that I'd really like to talk about. So this one is a Trump ad saying, "Think our generation deserves a better future? Don't elect a failed politician from the past." And she calls it experience, we call it failure. And what this actually brings up in me, the feelings that I get is, name a reason to vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton without naming the other one. You know? Basically, people are voting for one or the other because they hate the other one. This one's another Ed Perlmutter ad. Our neighbor, Ed Perlmutter for Congress. And this one says, higher ed, not higher debt. And then it folds out. Holy shit. And he's fighting for affordable college. And so, yeah, I'm kind of on board with initiatives to make education a little bit more affordable and not saddle people with debt that it is, you know, if they want a master's degree, it will be a debt larger than the average house mortgage. You know, that's, ugh. What do we do about that? This one's another from Donald Trump, and it's talking about Hillary Clinton, and it says, on foreign affairs, Hillary Clinton's bad judgment has jeopardized our national security. Right? And he may have a point, but again, I'm saying, tell me about yourself without talking about the other person, because this is 75% of the ad is talking about your opponent. And it says he's going to pause immigration from countries compromised by terror. Right? Well, that's a nice way of getting around Muslims. At the term Muslims, you know. Immigration from countries compromised by terror. Then all we have to do is label all the Muslim countries compromised by terror, and we can look like we're not racists, right? End the stream of poorly vetted Syrian refugees entering our country. Okay, vet them better than they already are being vetted. Okay, I can get behind that. Call violence by radical Islamic extremists what it is: terrorism. How about we just use a thesaurus and call it a whole bunch of different things and come to different perspectives based on the language that we're using? I'll call it terrorism, but I'll also call it whatever else fits whatever it is. And yeah, maybe each situation we can look at as an individual event instead of trying to blanketly label everything that we hate Voldemort or Mufasa, you know. And here's another one, same ad, just got mailed it twice. And this one says, oh, this is another one of that other one that I saw. So, yeah, he likes mailing me his shit twice. So, you saw all my mailers. If you made it this far, here I am, about to vote. I'm going to put the pen down and not actually fill it out now. But, here we go. For president, we've got a whole bunch of people that I was not aware were even running. But the different parties they come from. Democratic, Republican, American Constitution, Libertarian, Green, Approval Voting, American Delta, Prohibition Party, America's Party, Veterans of America Party, Socialist Workers Party, Independent American Party, Kotlikoff for President Party, Socialism and Liberation Party, the Nonviolent Resistance / Pacifist Party, Independent People Party, American Solidarity Party, unaffiliated, nutrition, unaffiliated, Socialist USA, and write-in. So that's all of those. And if you've been keeping up with my channel, I will be voting for Hillary Clinton. Some of you think that voting for the lesser of two evils is an evil thing that we shouldn't buy into, and I bought into it. Okay, that mindset, I am bought into that. Also, the largest one topic that I am voting between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, because those were the two choices that I was even considering. The one issue that I'm voting on for the most reasons is related to my job, and that is that Hillary Clinton has a plan to spend $10 billion on heroin as a problem in the country, and all sorts of solutions to the heroin epidemic. And Donald Trump doesn't have a spending plan on it. He has, let's get tougher on crime and let's build a wall to keep it out. And between those two, I know which one, based on my education, is going to be the winner in my field. And so I'm voting selfishly for my own reasons on that issue, and I think that everyone should find whatever issue matters to them the most and vote in their own interests, really. That's why I'm voting that way. Oh, let me put the pen down. Shit. I almost filled it in right now and did something illegal. Let's see. Representative to the 115th United States Congress, District 7. Probably going to go for Perlmutter. Regent of the University of Colorado at large. I'm going to go Alice Madden. State Senator, District 21. I got an ad from the guy, Dominic Moreno, the guy who's the valedictorian. He's running unopposed, so I'll vote for him. I've got Faith Winter and Emily Voss for District 35. I might look at Faith Winter's website first before I make that decision. Let's see. The rest, I really don't know that I can find out a lot about what their positions are. It's mostly people vote down their party line, you know. I don't want to do that, but if I can't find any positions that they hold on anything, then I'll just vote down a party line. Colorado Supreme Court Justice, shall Justice William Hood of the Colorado Supreme Court be retained in office? I know a lot of people, because of my job, that don't like any sitting judge, and they vote no on that like every time. All of these judges are up for re-election after that. Colorado Court of Appeals judges, there's like a whole bunch of them. County judge, district court judge. I don't know anything about any of their actual decisions that would make me not want to retain any of them. So, on to the amendments. Let's see. Amendment T. Shall there be an amendment to the Constitution concerning the removal of the exception to the prohibition of slavery and involuntary servitude when used as a punishment for persons duly convicted of a crime? I'm going to vote no. Basically, the way things are set up right now, people who are in prison can be paid less than minimum wage. And if we were to take that away, people in prison would not be able to have a job because basically it would cost too much money above minimum wage to employ them. And while people are in prison, I like the rehabilitative ways that work can help people And I like that people learn trades in prison, and I really feel like this would eliminate work in general for all of our prisoners. Um, those are my thoughts on the matter. Amendment U. Shall there be an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning an exemption from property taxation for a possessory interest in real property if the actual value of the interest is less than or equal to $6,000 or such amount adjusted for inflation? Um, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that I can see how this could be exploited by rich people to try to make all of their properties be less than $6,000, especially if their real property, being real estate, would be out in rural areas where they could divide up their um, assets and try to hide them. I don't really see another reason for having this law other than to try to exempt people from paying taxes. And if their property is less than $6,000, then how much could their property tax actually be? You know, take whatever percentage for property tax and then run that against $6,000 or less. I don't see why we would be exempting someone from a couple dollars of property tax in a rural area, other than, um, I guess, trying to give cattle farmers who own plots of lands here and there for grazing another subsidy so that they can keep on destroying the earth with their cattle. Um, and then taking that $6,000 plot of land with water rights and sucking up all the water that people need in other states because it's not going down the waterways. It's actually going on top of the land and evaporating because they're watering the land for cattle. And that's about as green and liberal as you're going to hear me in this video, I think. Just having that wider view of 70% of our agriculture is actually to feed cattle in America. I just watched that in the that new fucking Flood movie with fucking Leonardo DiCaprio. And I don't know that his figures are true. I didn't fact check them, but I've heard those figures in different places, and I do see that it takes a lot more land and resources to raise cattle, and it has been contributing to things like the algae blooms in the ocean, where there's fucking anoxic regions where no life can grow, and all sorts of shit. So yeah, I see what that's doing, and this is basically this is basically something to help out those people do that same thing even more. Amendment 69, constitutional. Shall the state raise taxes $25 billion annually in the first fiscal year? Yada yada yada. Establishing a healthcare payment system to fund healthcare for all individuals whose primary residence is in Colorado, and in connection therewith, creating governmental entity called Colorado Care to administrate the healthcare payment system. Now, see, sounds great the way it's written, right? To administer the healthcare payment system, providing for the government's of Colorado Care by an interim appointed board of trustees until an elected board of trustees takes responsibility, exempting Colorado Care from taxpayer Bill of Rights, assessing an initial tax on the total payroll from employers, payroll income from employees, yada yada yada, After a lot of research on this, even liberal people are split on this issue. A lot of the liberal PACs were against it. Bernie Sanders was in some instances for it, some instances against it. What it looks like to me is, let's take Obamacare, which has only been in existence for a couple years, and call it a failure, and then make our own system called Colorado Care. And what I have to say to that is, I don't think that the couple years that Obamacare has been in existence has been a fair gauge of how it is working, because there have been obstructionist things put in the way of its implementation at every step of the way. Okay? But in my line of work, it has been immensely successful because many of my clients, suffering from addiction, some of them homeless and out on the streets, would not have any coverage except for the Medicaid that I can get them signed up for quite easily, right? Going through the proper channels. And once I get them signed up for that Medicare, they can be billed for all the services that I can give them. And the numbers of how many more people have health care because of that system don't do it justice, because it's actually the targeted numbers. Like, in the places where it was needed the most, people now have an avenue towards getting onto Medicare and Medicaid, and that is helping out the behavioral health industry immensely. And so I don't think that Obamacare is a failure. In my line of work, it is not a failure at all. It is a boon to our existence. And so anything that looks like it's trying to call Obamacare a failure and supplant it with our own system, I'm not going to vote for at this moment. I want to have another 10 or 20 years of the system, maybe tweaked when we find out something's could work better, but I would like to have more time to let this actually play out and look at how it actually affects us, rather than to call it a failure before it's even really started, and keep calling it a failure, and not even let it work a little bit. Mostly just because it has Obama's name attached to it. We can't give Obama any wins. We can't give the Democrats any wins and let their names be attached to shit. Even if it makes sense. Let's see. Amendment 70, constitutional. Shall there be an amendment to the Colorado Constitution raising the minimum wage to $12 an hour by 2020 and annually adjusting it thereafter for cost of living increases? I'm willing to try it. I'm not convinced that it's going to be very effective in helping anything in our economy. It might have a little of a boost to some certain areas, but really, I'm just willing to try. And it'll be put to a vote of the people again if we want to repeal it. But then we'll see, did it have any effect? We'll be able to track that. Is our economy doing better? Amendment 71, constitutional. Basically, this amendment would make it harder to try to make amendments to the Constitution. And when you hear Amendment 71, Amendment 69 through Amendment 72 are on this ballot, right? That's a lot of amendments for one period. And every time something fails to become an amendment, something the next year will actually be given that number. So we have like recycled attempts at these amendment numbers. Some of these amendment numbers used to be about pro-life, anti-abortion rules. So making abortion illegal. So it's hard for these numbers to be tracked, but because they get reused. But basically, in order to make it onto the ballot, you have to get a certain percentage of people to sign a petition, and that percentage is based on how many people vote for the Secretary of State in Colorado. And in order to get that number of people, really you need an outside source of money funding the gathering of signatures through a petition getting company, like the signature getting company that they'll post people outside of Walmarts and shit. And the way that pot became legal in Colorado was normal. The pot group was paying with money from outside of the state, paying petition people to stand outside of fucking grocery stores and sign people up, you know? And that was the only way that anyone could actually make that happen, because one person trying to get the number of signatures required to put something on this ballot is not going to work. You know, one group of, say, the Knights of Columbus or the Elks Club or your local VA, if they got all their members to go out and try to get signatures, it's not going to work. You know, they're not even going to get a fraction of what it takes. Really, it takes corporate money to change the Colorado Constitution. And what this is trying to do is make it even harder, you know, to have a petition getting grassroots movement ever happen. You know, it's already fucking impossible, and it already takes outside money. The only reason why we've had the pro-life, anti-abortion amendments come up on our ballots before was because of outside money from church groups. You know? So, no, I'm not voting for this shit to make it even harder. Let's see. So, shall state taxes be increased on tobacco? Yes. Why? Because I'm an addiction counselor, and duh. There's a proposition for right to life. Oh, sorry, not right to right to death, basically. Basically, terminally ill patients being able to choose their method of death with a physician, and I'm for that. Compassion and caring and all that shit. Choices are good. Let's see. Next is a proposition saying, should people be able to vote in a political primary without being part of that party's party by membership, being unaffiliated. I want to say, shit. There's all sorts of instances of spoiler votes that I've seen in my life, especially in states where people would jump across to the other party if they're unaffiliated, if they keep themselves unaffiliated, because they can vote for their own party, but then say, when Donald Trump became the only candidate for the Republican Party, there was at least one state where those independent voters, you know, all they had to vote for was Donald Trump on the Republican side. So who were they voting for on the Democratic side? They were voting for Hillary Clinton because Bernie Sanders polled better against Donald Trump, who was who they actually wanted to win. And that spoiler style voting is not something that I like. I think that you should have to be a member of a political party if you want to vote in that party's primary. So I'm against that. And the last one is should we have basically a regular primary rather than a caucus? And the caucus system is something that I've filmed and put on my YouTube channel before as I became a delegate for my state political parties. And it's been interesting, and it would give me a lot more to film if the caucus process stayed in place. But I feel like a primary system would be a lot more honest to the people that are trying to get involved in politics and don't know how a caucus works and don't realize that they have to stay after they vote for the opinion poll that begins the caucuses, and they have to stay later to vote for actual delegates who are going to hold to their opinion. So, yeah, I think that I would rather have a regular primary. So, a lot of states have them, and I feel like it's a little bit more fair. I think that the caucus system is antiquated, and we have the technology to pull it off, so we should. Because it's just more honest to people who don't pay a lot of attention to politics and how it works. And I'd like people to be able to participate without having to dedicate their lives to the caucus system for months at a time to make sure that their vote counts. I think that people should be able to go to the poll, vote, and then get on with their fucking lives. So that's how I'm voting, and hopefully Kazoom will have the balls to put up his video about his ballot.